Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Julie Chrisley served lawsuit in Lexington, Kentucky prison. Chrisley knows best alum. Julie Chrisley was served papers for a lawsuit while she was incarcerated in the Lexington FMI in Kentucky. It came after a brief run of good luck when her husband, Todd Chrisley, won a lawsuit against the state of Georgia. Julie Chrisley's husband Todd also lost a lawsuit. Chrisley knows best fans heard that prisoners seldom win lawsuits while they serve sentences behind bars. Well, their luck changed recently when Amy Doherty Hines, an investigator in the Georgia case, won a massive lawsuit against Todd Chrisley. The amount awarded included $350,000 plus punitive damages of $170,000. Legal costs brought a total payment demand of $755,000. Hot on the heels of the loss, Todd and Julie Chrisley were served papers for their son Grayson Chrisley's accident. In November 2022, he was in a terrifying crash on the I-65 near Nashville. At the time, fans of the reality TV show feared that he might be brain damaged. He crashed into the truck in front of him. Reports revealed that the other car's driver was injured but refused medical treatment. Grayson Chrisley's crash lawsuit served in prison. Chrisley knows best fans probably already heard that Grayson Chrisley's parents were sued by the other car's driver, Patrick Rywalder. However, initial reports didn't mention that his mom was served the lawsuit in prison. According to Radar Online, the papers were served on April 17, 2024. The outlet noted that Julie Chrisley and her husband Todd Chrisley were both sued because they owned the truck that Grayson Chrisley drove. Additionally, Savannah Chrisley received papers because she is the guardian of her younger brother. At the time of the crash, Grayson was 16 years old. The plaintiff's case. The outlet explained that from court papers, it seems that Todd and Julie Chrisley possibly anticipated the lawsuit. When the accident happened, Patrick Rywalder claimed that Julie Chrisley's son was distracted by electronics within the car. Possibly that's why he wanted phone records from Verizon and AT&T. However, the Chrisley knows best stars felt his request for logs for the day before to 18 days after the crash seemed unreasonable, oppressive, and a clear effort to harass them. The humid July air clung to the rolling hills of Lexington, Kentucky, as storm clouds gathered, both above the federal women's prison and in the life of one of its most high-profile inmates. Julie Chrisley, once the poised matriarch of the Chrisley Knows Best empire, now sat in a stark visitation room wearing the beige uniform of an inmate at FMC Lexington. But her day was about to take a turn for the worse. A thick manilot envelope bearing a court seal was slid across the table by a federal process server. Julie blinked twice. "You've been served," the official said, barely making eye contact before swiftly exiting the room. She stared down at the lawsuit papers in stunned silence, her hands trembling slightly. In the fluorescent lighting of the room, the words "civil complaint for damages" glared back at her in bold type. It was another blow in a year already packed with loss, change, and emotional upheaval. The lawsuit, as it turned out, wasn't directly tied to her federal fraud conviction. Instead, it stemmed from a business deal gone wrong in 2019, before the Chrisleys' legal troubles exploded into public view. The plaintiff, a former associate tied to a home design venture Julie was quietly involved in, was seeking over $250,000 in damages, claiming Julie had knowingly misrepresented the company's financial backing and breached multiple clauses of a contract she allegedly signed under her lifestyle brand. Julie, pale but composed, slowly closed the packet and whispered to herself, "I don't even remember signing anything with her." A new kind of battle. Inside the walls of Lexington prison, Julie had adapted in her own quiet, resilient way. She attended chapel service regularly, wrote long letters to her children, and kept a low profile in the commissary line. The Julie American knew the poised, camera-ready mother dispensing Southern wisdom and witty one-liners, was now tempered by the harsh reality of confinement. But this lawsuit pulled her back into the outside world in a way she hadn't anticipated. The prison, typically a bubble of routine and repetition, was suddenly the stage for legal chaos. Julie would now be coordinating with her legal team remotely, trying to defend herself from civil litigation with limited access to technology, time, and resources. Her daughter Savannah Chrisley was the first to hear the news. In prison, Savannah exclaimed in disbelief over a phone call with Julie's attorney, before jumping into crisis mode. "You know she doesn't even have access to the files or the emails she needs. She can't even defend herself." Savannah, who has taken on the role of family protector in the absence of both parents, quickly began posting cryptic Instagram stories. "Another day, another attack. Y'all have no idea what we're up against," without naming names. But fans of the Chrisley family quickly put the pieces together, and speculation began running wild. A growing concern. Meanwhile, inside Lexington, word of the legal summons spread fast. Inmates talk, especially when a celebrity name is involved. One fellow prisoner, who once bunked near Julie, told a visitor that Julie had remained graceful but visibly shaken. "She just sat there holding the papers for a long time," the inmate shared. "Didn't say much, just whispered something like, 'They just won't stop.'" For Julie, it felt like she was being punished all over again, not just by the federal justice system, but by her past, which continued to unravel thread by thread. The lawsuit named her personally, not as part of a corporation, meaning any future earnings, book deals, or appearance fees, if and when she were released, could be targeted for restitution. Some former friends who once attended gala dinners and filmed scenes for the reality show have now distanced themselves. One anonymous source close to the family's past ventures called the lawsuit a long time coming. "She thought she was above accountability," the source claimed. But there were always whispers that she cut corners, even when the cameras weren't rolling. Still, for many longtime fans, this was another devastating chapter in a story that has felt increasingly tragic. Julie, who had once proudly baked peach cobbler on national television and offered heartfelt parenting advice, was now facing yet another courtroom, and doing so from behind prison walls. A glimmer of hope. Yet, even as the legal storm gathered momentum, Julie remained determined not to let it crush her spirit. The prison chaplain, who had grown close to her over the months, described her as a woman leaning on faith with everything she's got. "She told me the lawsuit might be the enemy trying to keep her down," he said, "but that she was going to pray her way through it." Julie's legal team is reportedly preparing to file a motion for extension, arguing that responding under current conditions poses undue hardship for their client. The judge overseeing the case has granted a preliminary delay, but the lawsuit is still active and waiting. As Todd Chrisley remains incarcerated in Florida, he too was reportedly informed of the new lawsuit against his wife. A source close to the couple says Todd was furious and frustrated, believing this was a ploy to smear Julie further while she's unable to fight back. "They're trying to break her," Todd was quoted as saying in a recent call, according to The Insider. "But she's stronger than they know." The road ahead. Whether this lawsuit results in a judgment or gets dismissed, it casts yet another long shadow over the Chrisley name. For Julie, it adds a fresh layer of stress to an already painful journey. She was already counting down the days to when she could reunite with her children and grandchildren outside the prison gates. Now she must focus once more on legal strategy, affidavits, and potential settlements. And yet, Julie continues to wake each morning, say a prayer, and hold her head high as she walks across the yard. She knows the world outside hasn't forgotten her, and that many are still watching, for better or worse. In Lexington, Kentucky, the skies eventually cleared that afternoon, leaving behind only puddles and the faint smell of wet earth. But inside the walls of FNC Lexington, Julie Chrisley faced another storm, one that might take much longer to pass.